Hey, Brian.
Hey, what's up, John?
What is this? Beautiful music in the background.
Beautiful intro music at long last.
We finally have an intro here on Casual Movie Club, and just want to give a shout out to Epidemic Sound for our opening track. A combination of a little movie projector sound effect, but song is from Epidemic Sound. So thanks to epidemicsound.com, which is a great online royalty-free music site.
It's contagious.
It is. It's an epidemic. Well, speaking of how in the world am I going to connect that to a movie?
I have no idea.
Well, okay. Maybe there will be a really circuitous way we can bring this back in, but we watched an epic movie.
I would certainly agree this was an epic.
We watched none other than 2014's Interstellar, directed by Christopher Nolan.
It's crazy to me that was 2014. It feels like so much longer ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, at the time of this recording, it was about 4 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, special effects and everything, you'd never know it was from...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it felt so current and so amazing. But then again, special effects were very good 4 years ago. So what the hell am I saying? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Christopher Nolan really knows how to put together a film. And
yeah.
I don't think that we use the term epic lightly in this. This project, this journey, this voyage... just this story arc that these characters have gone through is vast.
Yeah.
Spanning space and time.
Would you say it is an interstellar epic?
Yes, I would.
I did it. Oh my goodness. Well, what a movie it was, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting into the discussion because... I'm trying to even figure out where to begin.
Where to begin?
Well, let me ask this.
So much.
Did you... I mean, I gathered from some of your things that we talked about, but did you enjoy it?
I loved it. I enjoyed it thoroughly start to finish.
Okay.
I've got maybe a couple nits to pick, but they don't even seem fair, honestly, in the relation to the scope of the film as a whole.
Why not?
Just because the film is so goddamn good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I saw this movie in theaters when it came out, and I saw it twice.
Really?
First time was in IMAX, which was...
Oh, gosh. I bet that was incredible in IMAX.
Yeah, it was. Almost overwhelming. Just the track, the sound effects,
yeah.
The score. This movie deserves to be seen in IMAX. The second time I saw it was probably the next weekend, if I remember correctly, and it was just in your regular old theater experience.
Okay. Yeah,
still didn't detract. It was just as good.
Wow.
Now, granted, the IMAX viewing is going to be the superior experience, but
sure.
I think theaters in general, this film loses a little bit outside of the theater just because of just the grandiosity of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many scenes, I mean, especially with all the space stuff, but even just a lot of the visual effects, you know, I mean, watching it on a 60-inch TV is good, and it's all good, but watching it on a massive movie theater screen or an IMAX screen just adds a whole new level of dimension to it, not to mention surround sound.
Yeah, and not to disparage your sound system, which is exceptional.
Oh, thank you.
But there's still something to be said about about the theater sound experience.
Yeah. So, you know, this is definitely one of those things where one of those movies where I would love to see, you know, like I could see like the Draft House doing something like that, where they have like epic movie month or something, and they show a bunch of epic movies in their setup.
Yeah,
you know, because I would love to go see this movie in a theater. I did not see it in a theater. I actually saw it after it had come out on iTunes, and I watched it maybe 65% of the way through, and this was probably about a year ago, and then I just never finished it.
Yeah,
you know, and the last thing I remember. And I'm just going to set the stage here. There will be spoilers, I'm sure.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You know.
That goes without saying. If you're listening to a podcast about a movie, especially a movie that's several years old at this point,
right,
you got to expect some spoilers.
Of course, yeah. You know, and the last thing that I had remembered from seeing it the first time was when, like, Matt Damon was marooning Cooper on the planet.
Yes,
that was the last thing I remembered, and I didn't see anything beyond that.
Yeah.
You know, so
what a time to fall off of it too.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Do you remember specifically where the marooning that you left off at?
Yeah, it was when Cooper was crawling for his communicator, and Matt Damon's character was kind of reciting that poem about going quietly into the darkness.
Right.
That was kind of the last thing I remembered.
Oh man, it's so much more happens after that.
Right, and. You know, and that's something I definitely want to talk about, because there's so much that happens in this movie. But you said you loved it, you really enjoyed it. I'm not going to say the same.
Okay, fair.
I didn't love it. I didn't enjoy it. Okay, well, let me rephrase. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it.
Okay.
And the problem was it was just too long.
All right.
Too long, and there were parts that really felt like they dragged.
I can probably give you a couple of areas in my opinion where it dragged. And I think a good movie to really put this up against, now hear me out on this.
Yeah.
Is The Princess Bride. And the reason I say that is last week we talked about how engaging this movie was, and how you can kind of slip in and out of it.
Yeah.
And conversely, Interstellar is the polar opposite of that.
I was totally just going to say that.
You cannot. I would challenge anyone to sit down and watch this movie and just kind of slip in maybe a third of the way through, maybe a quarter of the way through.
Right.
Halfway through, even.
You can't.
There's so much. You would lose so much if you did that.
Right. And these types of movies, by and large, are kind of tough for me to sit through. You know, maybe call it a variance in my attention span or something, but you know, I was not pulled in 100% of the time. However, something would happen, or you know, maybe a little bit would go by, and then another sequence would begin that would pull me in. Right. So, you know, I was kind of drifting in and out of orbit, we'll just say, you know, with this movie. So, you know, I grabbed my phone a couple of times, and, you know, I was reading trivia and stuff for the movie, which I usually like to do. But I was there was just, it was so long that I even felt myself nodding off a little bit during it, but that could have also been the fact that I may have drank my whiskey a little too quickly.
Now, there's one section that I really want to call out.
By all means.
And that is, and this is something that I noticed, that this is a director's choice. When they got to Dr. Mann's planet, Matt Damon, and they woke him up from out of cryo sleep. They were kind of talking about the state of the planet. They were talking about the readings, how viable for life it was. When Cooper and Dr. Mann went out to survey some of the probe sites, there was a building of tension.
Oh yeah,
and that building of tension was characterized by quick edit cuts. And I noticed as they landed and as they talked to Dr. Mann, and as the story progressed, there were more cuts that happened more quickly. You were out with Cooper and Dr. Mann. They had a snippet of conversation. It cut back to Dr. Romilly while he was trying to revive Kip, Dr. Mann's downed robot, and then it would cut to Dr. Brand, and it would cut back to Dr. Mann, and then cut to Dr. Brand, and it would go. The cuts came more and more quickly, and it built more and more attention. Now, granted, I knew what was coming, and you, of course, knew what was coming as well. But I was noticing the cuts, and it was definitely rising tension for me.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I mean, and I didn't even notice the whole the whole edit thing. But what I noticed was just that, like, and maybe it was just because I knew it was going to happen, but I could see that Matt Damon was just starting to, his character was, Dr. Mann was starting to change his tune from, oh my God, thank you so much for saving me, to, I have a completely different outlook on what needs to happen, and I'm going to basically take control of this and maroon you here and finish the job I'm supposed to do. You know, it was a very quick turnaround of his, you know, his persona, for his, how he was behaving from the minute he woke up until, you know, he decided to, you know, potentially kill Cooper's character. And it was like, I could see that tension building, and I was like, oh, this is not gonna, something's wrong, something's going on. I mean, and I remembered from seeing it, but even just how he was behaving, I could see it.
So let's talk about this too, just kind of focusing on the Dr. Mann story arc for a minute here. He knew from the get-go that Plan A, get a space station out into space and get the majority of the human population on that space station, he knew that was failed because the original Dr. Brand, Amelia Brand's father, had already solved his equation, and just it was failed. They weren't going to do Plan A. So Plan B was where all the eggs were in that basket,
and basically trying to find a new planet.
Yeah. So the one thing I wanted to bring up is, why didn't Dr. Mann just come right out and say, "Hey, I know I know what the deal is here. We can't stay on this planet. We've got to go to the next planet." And I think I may have just answered my own question, but why don't we just go to the other planet, Dr. Thompson's planet, and set up the eggs there, set up a colony there?
Well, but did they have the data from that other planet, or were they still needing to go to that planet to figure that out?
Well, they had that data. They had that data when they went through the wormhole, because it was all cached, and they got it all at once. And the only difference between Dr. Edmund's planet and Dr. Mann's planet was that Edmund's planet was further, and they would certainly strand themselves on that planet with no hope of getting back.
Okay, so I guess I didn't quite understand that, because I thought all that stuff that was cached, I thought all that was cached was their thumbs up signal that was happening. I didn't realize all the data was with it.
Oh, you're right. No, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, but the data that they did transmit, the thumbs up, was the same as Dr. Mann's, and it was life, thumbs up, life is viable here. There are hydrocarbons.
Gotcha.
Organic life, that like their life could be sustained here. Thumbs up, come and get us.
Okay. See, and that kind of alludes to another kind of issue I have with this movie ever so slightly. Is just that there's so much data.
Yeah, you can get lost in the sauce real quick.
Yeah, and you know, there's so much information and so much data where, like, if you kind of check out in the beginning or middle of this movie, just stop watching it, because it's going to be tough to get back into it later on. Yeah. You know, and that was, you know, a couple of times I found myself kind of wondering, like, okay, how much longer is this going to be? Like, because there were a lot of sequences that, you know, we were talking about things that really dragged on, is towards the very end when, what's her name? Murph sets fire to the crops. Yeah. Then there's this whole sequence where there's people outside going, come on, the car's coming. I didn't know what that was all about. Were they trying to leave before the Thomas gets back and he's going to beat the shit out of them?
What? Yeah, because she wanted...
I'm sorry to cut you over.
No, fine.
The movie basically makes you assume a lot of stuff. You know, like, because there was no clear indication that, hey, we got to get out of here before somebody gets back and who's going to beat us, or we got to do this before something else happens. You kind of have to, like, they just kind of drop you into, there's a couple of situations where they kind of drop you in, and you kind of have to assume what it is that they're doing, because they drop you into it mid activity, or they don't tell you what's happening. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I may not be saying it the right way. But
I think you're explaining it very well, because I know I understand the point that you're making.
Right.
However, I'm seeing it differently. I'm seeing that the director has faith that you can put 2 and 2 together rather than spelling everything out for you. Sure. And maybe they do take that assumption too far at some points.
Yeah.
But I like a movie that respects my intelligence and doesn't let me that doesn't spell anything out for me. Now, granted, what wasn't obvious to me was Murph and her husband, I guess Topher Grace, were at that was Topher Grace, that 70s show, Venom from Spider-Man 3. Yeah, Topher Grace. Really, really good part in this film. But they went to her old house to see Tom. They go upstairs, and all of this to say, spoilers aside, we're also assuming you've seen this movie also.
Right.
We're throwing out a specific details on this thing.
But that's just a testament to how many of those specific details are in there. That like I have a feeling when they were editing this down, this was as short as they could probably get it.
Oh no doubt. No doubt.
There were things that I think they could have shortened, but for whatever reason, storyline wise or stylistically or whatever, the director wanted to keep all that in there. But I still feel like there were things that could have been taken out.
I would probably underestimate the uncut version of this to be about 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6.
I couldn't watch that in one sitting.
Oh, of course not. No. Like the Lord of the Rings extended cuts are like 3-4 hours a piece.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point I was getting at is, to your point.
Yeah.
They go to the house. They see that the kids are sick. Topher's like, yeah, we got to leave now. But Murph still wants to hang out in the room because she has a nagging feeling that there's something for me to figure out here. They get in the car because Tom kicks them out because, no, you're not taking my family away from me. I don't care if they're sick. So I guess she gets this...
Is that Casey Affleck?
Yeah, it was Casey Affleck.
I thought it was.
Fucking love Casey Affleck.
He's underrated.
He's very underrated.
He's hilarious in the Ocean's movies.
Mm-hmm.
He is hilarious in those movies.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I digress. We got to do Ocean's movies, by the way.
I would love to do Ocean's movies.
We gotta.
Yeah. Anyway, all this to say that... where they're driving away after Tom, Casey Affleck kicks them out, she has like a thought, well, fuck this, I'm going to go back to this house anyway, but they don't really telegraph that. They don't really say what's happening. They just pull off the road suddenly, she sets fire to the crops.
Wait,
and then
maybe does she do that to get rid of Tom?
She does.
So she could go back to...
She does.
Okay.
That's what she does. And that's the thing. Like, they don't spell that out for you,
right?
But you don't realize what she's doing, why she's doing it until she's back in the house and Topher's outside, all like, "Hey, the fire's going on. Hey, the fire's out now. Hey, he's on his way back. He's coming up. He's coming right for us." And he pulls a tire iron out.
Right.
Like they don't spell that out for you.
Right. But they're just kind of hoping you're paying enough attention to pick it up.
That's the thing. And if you're not paying attention, if for whatever reason you're just focused on a different aspect of the story, you kind of miss those details.
Right.
So I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But on other aspects of it, like the little details about the time shift earlier, like the details early in the movie have a payoff later on the movie.
Right.
And I really like that. And I like that they don't take your intelligence for granted.
Yeah.
They're going to figure this out because this is worth the aha moments.
Sure.
It's worth it.
Yeah, and I totally I can see that.
Yeah.
I still think it was too long. I still think there were parts that dragged, but I did enjoy watching the movie for sure.
I'll give you one of my parts I felt dragged was the wormhole sequence, not the wormhole sequence, the black hole sequence when Cooper is in the fifth dimension and he's like pounding on the bookshelves and all that, and it's moving. It was really emotional.
Yeah.
But I thought that dragged on a little too long. I get it. Just get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that some of the scenes where they were kind of just sitting in the spacecraft just having some sort of a discussion. I think those kind of dragged a little bit as well. You know, where they were talking about their plans and talking about this, that, and the other thing. You know, just sort of those supplemental scenes. I thought some of them could have moved a little quicker.
They could probably move a little quicker. I would disagree on that. They weren't necessary because they
were necessary. I totally understand why they were there, but I feel like some of them dragged.
Okay. But yeah, there are some really good conversations in there about relativity, time, space. One thing that I don't know if you noticed or not, or if you picked up in the trivia, when Dr. Romilly was talking to Coop about the wormhole.
Yeah.
And he had the piece of paper. And he's like, well, this is how a wormhole works.
Right.
And he drew an X, drew a line, drew an X on the paper. It's like, well, you want to travel faster. The wormhole folds the paper up and then sticks the pencil through the two X's. Right. Do you know where that is originally from?
I feel like I do, but I'm going to have you tell me anyway.
Now I'm unsure. I probably should have researched this. I believe that's from the film Event Horizon.
Yes.
With Lawrence Fishburne.
Yes, that's exactly that.
Yes.
Yes.
We
got to do that movie.
We got to do that movie. Are you ready to get freaked out?
Yeah. Oh God, that movie scared the crap out of me when I first saw it.
I will probably literally shit if we see that movie under the right circumstances.
Then you need to sit on like a garbage bag.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Speaking of shit on a seat, did you hear about the guy on the Delta plane that apparently there was shit on his seat?
No.
Sorry, this is a random segue, but
no, let's take it. Let's see where this goes.
If you do a Google search for Delta feces, for example, there was a guy who was boarding a flight from Atlanta to Miami, and apparently there was a service animal that was in that seat the flight before shit on the seat, and they didn't clean it up. So, and the flight attendants just handed him like 2 pieces of paper towels and a bottle of gin to wash it off. A bottle of
gin?
Yes.
They gave a couple airplane bottles of some Bombay Sapphires.
That's exactly what it was.
Here, rinse off with this. Disinfect with this, sir.
Drinking alcohol and rubbing alcohol are apparently 2 different things.
Yeah, they're 2 different things.
But not that has anything to do with Interstellar.
Wow.
You know, but hey, this is the Casual Movie Club, ladies and gentlemen, where we talk about things like surprise dicks and shit on a plane seat.
You gotta keep it casual.
You gotta keep it casual.
You gotta keep it casual. That's what we're here. That's what we're all about here.
That's right. We're all about keeping it casual.
Is there any other?
A lot of whiskey over here, man.
Hey, you want to get another one?
Yeah, then you'd have to just keep talking.
Oh, we could just pause it. The power of editing.
Yeah, I guess.
Whatever you want to do, man.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
All right. Well, are there any other spots that you want to draw attention to? Anything else you want to call out?
I can't think of anything, man, because a lot of my sort of opinion is sort of on the movie as a whole. Because again, I can't say that I was as pulled into it as I would have wanted to be.
Okay.
You know, and I think there were those draggy parts that were kind of taking it for me.
Now, there were draggy parts. We've established some of those.
Yeah.
Were there any scenes or there were any sections that pulled at your heartstrings? Did any section melt your cold dead heart?
Believe it or not, it's not one specific scene, but I want to call out the score.
Okay.
The music was fantastic.
I would agree wholeheartedly.
And I want it. I don't know if it was Hans Zimmer.
It's Hans. Yeah, oh yeah.
It was Hans?
Yeah, it's Hans Zimmer.
I knew it. But and by the way, I'm just looking at IMDb. This won the Oscar for Best Achievement in Visual Effects. Which I think is appropriate. It should have also won for Best Music, because I think the score was such a beautiful compliment to the story, and also I loved the use of pipe organ. There was elements where there was just a big pipe organ chord that was kind of held out with orchestra underneath it, and it was like beautiful, so beautiful.
Because of the nature of this film and its subject matter, well, I guess I should preface this by asking you: have you seen 2001: A Space Odyssey?
I have.
You have.
I really like that movie.
So the comparisons are going to be natural to compare the 2 films, especially considering the end sequence of both of them.
Sure.
Where they're both traveling through black holes.
Right. It's been a while since I've seen 2001, but I do remember that.
Yeah. The music is also reminiscent of 2001. Now, 2001: Space Odyssey has a lot of classical pieces,
right,
and extended scenes in space where it's just carried by the score or by the musical numbers.
Right.
This film, Interstellar, it was really reminiscent of that, but the score was far more understated, and I think it was more. I want to say
it was more supplemental.
Yes, supplemental is the perfect word.
Yeah, whereas in 2001, the score was almost a part in and of itself.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Totally.
So all that said, I'm with you 100%. The score was masterful. It was used in just the best way possible. And
I loved how the score, it built so beautifully with those moments where everything was just kind of building up and up and up and up, and the score just sat with it so beautifully.
Yeah,
like it was a masterpiece. I really loved it,
especially when they had shots outside of the ship. There were some instances where they had no sound. Every scene outside of the space shuttle, they had no sound effects at all.
Right.
Because why would you?
Of course,
if there's no oxygen, there's no vibrations, there's no sound.
Right.
So I get all that. And I thought that was really well done. The score, while they were inside the spaceship after Dr. Mann kind of crashed the Endurance, the big spaceship as well, I liked that the score kind of died down. Right. And they were just listening to the sound effects. The only sound effects you heard were inside of Coop's suit. So you heard him grunting, you heard him breathing.
Yeah.
But you didn't really hear any other sound effects except maybe the hiss of oxygen.
Right.
Again, can't say enough good things about the sound effects and the score of this film.
That's going to reflect in my numbers for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. Oh, one other thing. I asked you about if scenes pulled at your heartstrings. Apparently you're dead inside.
I am. I am cold and dead, and if you lift up my hand, it'll just fall right back down because I am a corpse. No, I honestly, I would probably say that if anything pulled at my heartstrings, it was just that sort of resentment feeling that Murph had for her father when he left, because she seemed to be pretty intelligent, but she didn't really want to allow him to go and do what he was trying to do. She was more selfish about, you need to stay here, stay with me, blah blah blah. But he had to go and sort of serve the greater good, kind of thing. And I felt for her.
You felt for her. I
a little bit
did not feel for her. I mean, I understood where she was coming from.
Yeah.
I understood the resentment, the anger, especially at the midpoint of the film, where she realized that Plan A was a lie. It was just a ruse to get them to do Plan B. So I understand that, and I empathize with her. That's really shitty situation, and she couldn't have said it better. You left us here to suffocate. You left us here to starve. The thing that really got me was Coop's sadness after coming back off of the water planet.
Yeah.
And seeing the 23 years of messages from his son Tom.
Oh, yes.
I
forgot about that.
That kind of broke me a little bit.
I would have mentioned that if I had remembered that, but yeah, that was tough. That was tough.
There's a couple scenes like that kind of pulled it back out of me. I said that's the scene inside of the bookshelves, inside of the black hole, kind of drug on. Yeah. But there were some spots in there where he was just... Matthew McConaughey is an incredible actor.
He's very versatile.
Yeah.
He's very versatile.
Really is.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's all those scenes where he was just lamenting the loss of time and the loss of his life with his children.
But you know what? At the very end, when he finally went into the hospital room where Murph was, he didn't cry because I feel like he had accepted it.
He was tearing up because he was seeing Murph. He was reconnecting with her. But you're right. Like at the end, he backed away.
Right, and because she said, go to Brand because my kids are here with me now, and like that. I felt that kind of tore at me a little bit, just because that reminded me of like my grandmother, because she would, I would go to visit her when she was in the retirement home and everything, and we'd spend a few minutes, and then she would just say, go, because she knew that
go live your life.
Yeah, she loved the time that I spent with her, but then she was like, okay, go ahead, and like that kind of took me back to that a little bit. So
I love that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, but let's do some numbers.
Let's do the numbers.
Yeah. So, let's. Why don't you start us off? So, and by the way, if you're wondering what in the world are you talking about numbers for a movie, go over to casualmovieclub.com, click on the leaderboard, and you can see where we rank the various movies that we have watched. And we have a number of criteria that we use to rank our movies. Things like the acting, how well do the actors convey the story? How believable were they? What was the script, the quality of the writing, the quality of the dialogue? How well was it written? The presentation, the technical approach to things. How was the visual effects? Were they too much, not enough? The music and sound, all the good stuff for your ears. The soundtrack as a whole, music and sound effects and that kind of thing. Uniqueness. Has this kind of movie been done before? And also the engagement factor. How likely are you to stay awake, stay engaged, not be checking Twitter or Facebook, while you're watching this movie? How pulled in are you? So those are our criteria. And Brian, would you like to start us off with the acting?
The acting. How well do the actors convey the story? Believability, all that stuff. This is going to be a difficult movie to rate, because as much as I love it, I do recognize that it's not a perfect film.
Right.
It's not a perfect film, and I have to keep that in mind as much as I love it. So there were really very few low points in the acting. Yeah. I really struggle to think of a moment where the acting kind of took me out of the story. Okay. I can't think of one. I just can't.
Okay.
So based off of that, though, not a perfectly acted film either. It's a difficult for me to say this, but I'm going to put this at a 4 for acting. Because as much as I was blown away by Matt Damon, by Matthew McConaughey, Jessica Chastain?
That was Anne Hathaway.
No, I'm thinking of Murph.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, I just can't think of a good. I can't think of a bad moment.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going with 4. On the acting, I am torn, honestly, and I'm kind of between two numbers, because I agree with you. There's nothing that grabbed me as being amazing.
Yes.
It was well done, but it was not blow me away well done. So I'm actually going to go 3.75.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only because Matthew McConaughey is a very gifted actor, but I didn't quite buy it every time he was doing his thing. His low speak. I've heard him in quite a number of different roles. Matthew McConaughey, as you mentioned earlier, is versatile. Yeah. He was in his stereotypical Matthew McConaughey voice, almost like the all right kind of. Yeah, and he go ahead. No, that's it really. Like, he's kind of the same dude in a lot of movies. Yeah, he's very similar in a lot of movies. Very similar. What really knocked it out of the park for me with Matthew McConaughey was when he was actually being emotional. Now, granted, he's a scientist, he's an engineer, he's very objective as often as he can. Yeah. But when it came to really expressing emotion, the sadness, the anger, just the confusion of his situation that he found him in sometimes,
Loved it. Knocked it out of the park. I think that's why I landed at a 4 because of the all right kind of delivery that the rest of the performance was.
Yeah, I didn't quite feel every time he was being emotional though. You know, that's just me. Like
I felt it.
You know, but that's nothing wrong with that. You know?
Yeah.
Let's go to the script. So the quality of the writing. You know, there's a lot of technical jargon. There was a lot of, you know, buzzwords and everything. You know, it felt like much like The Princess Bride, kind of like just a by the book kind of thing. You know, there was nothing about the writing or no major quotes that really jumped out at me. You know, I can't quote this movie, you know, except for that poem maybe, but I doubt that poem was written by the person who wrote the screenplay. I doubt it.
I don't think that's original to this film.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm going to do a 3.75 on that also because it was, you know, it told the story well, and you know, there was nothing that really gripped me or blew me away.
After I saw this film, I did a little bit of research into it, and I kind of re-glanced through some of the trivia to prepare for this. I didn't really go too hard into it, but one of the more mainstream facts about this is that all of the science, all of the space travel, all of the events on here are based on scientific fact. They didn't go too far out in the world of in fantastic. Right. They didn't go too far out in the left field. The black hole stuff is probably where they stretched fact the most, but that's because, as they said throughout the entire film, no one knows what goes on in the black hole.
Well, yeah, black holes are theoretical.
They're all theoretical. Well, they exist.
Yeah.
Black holes absolutely exist.
But we've never gone through one.
No one has ever gone through one. No one's ever... I don't believe we've even sent a probe into one. But besides that, the script, I fucking love the script. The story, as epic as it is it's hard for me to find fault with the script as a whole. And for that, I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Wow. Interesting.
This is, to me, this is an epic of our times. This is our Ben-Hur. This is our 2001 Space Odyssey.
Interesting. Okay. I'll support you on that. So presentation, visual effects.
Well, I mean, this thing won an Oscar for the special effects.
Like, I already know what I'm giving it.
But for me, visually it was incredible. The wormhole, passes through the wormhole, I thought was really well done. They explained it as not a hole but a sphere, right. And I love that explanation and everything that. The traveling up to it and through it and then out the other side.
Right, and it's just like how they said it when he was doing the paper thing. How do you make a circle three-dimensional?
It's a sphere.
It's a sphere.
It's a sphere.
It's so like right on.
Yeah. Visual effects, though, if I'm going to score this, the black hole wasn't visually spectacular. The bookshelf scene that followed that wasn't really spectacular either. It felt real. It felt how I would imagine that trip would go. But it didn't blow me away, and I think that's where Space Odyssey kind of gets me. Well, Space Odyssey, when they travel through the black hole, it's a legit acid trip. It's lights, it's color, it's sound, it's...
Right, but think about the time in which that was made.
Sure, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, for visual effects, this thing was incredible. But you know, it was very real to the point of being too real. The black hole sequence I'm talking about.
Is too real a bad thing?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to give visual effects 4.
Really?
I'm going to give it a 4.
I am going to go ahead and disagree with you on that, but I'm not giving it a 5 though, because I'm not saying it was perfect. But you know, I think that the areas of realism that we experience, especially for those of us that are never going to set foot in a spaceship, you know, in our lifetime.
Oh, never.
You know, I'm never going to set foot in a spaceship. I respect that. I'm never going to personally travel through a black hole. I respect that. I really felt that the visual effects were stunning to the point of being just breathtakingly beautiful. So
I agree.
I'm going with 4.5.
Oh.
Only because I'm not going towards the realm of perfect, but I'm going better than 4.
Man, I kind of want to change my score now.
Go ahead.
No, it's too late.
No,
it's too late. I stand by my score.
But it's casual.
It's casual.
I have changed my score in the past.
I know you have.
So there's nothing to say that you can't.
I stand by what I said. I stand by it.
What would you change it to had you changed it?
Oh, goddamn, 4.5.
Okay, so I'll put
No, keep it at 4. Please keep it at 4. I said 4. It's going to be 4.
All right, fine. Well,
what's the next category?
music and sound. And it's my turn.
Okay.
5. I loved everything audible about this movie. I absolutely loved it. I think sound effects were very appropriate, not overly used. I thought that they were all believable. I like that they didn't hype the robot walking like.
Yeah, dude.
They didn't hype that, which I thought was really nice. Just a stupid little touch. But what gives it the 5, hands down, the score. The music was amazing.
Yes, it was. I think I've said everything that I've needed to say about the score already. It understated, complimentary, incredible. 4.5.
What? That's it? 4.5?
4.5. 4.5.
All right. Uniqueness.
Well, we've talked about Space Odyssey already. This is an odyssey in and of itself, though.
I think that's a good word to describe it.
Yeah, and there are countless other films that kind of tread the same ground in respects to a team of people go out to save humanity. They accomplish their mission and they return home the hero. Granted, this kind of branches off in unusual and original ways, but I think this is a very unique film in its concepts, in its execution of those concepts. Do I want to do 4? I'm gonna do 4. I'm gonna do 4.
All right. So
I always want to find a film to compare this to whenever we do this score. Uniqueness is a tough category for me.
Yeah, and I mean the only film that comes to mind is Gravity. Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. I haven't, but I'm not like nothing about those two is jumping out at me other than them both being space films. But space films is a genre, so I mean, there's a bunch of space films out there, so it's not like we can say this is the only space film. It's not like we can say this is unique because it's a space film. But it is I like how you alluded to earlier saying this is our Ben-Hur, this is our Gone with the Wind, this is our our generation's epic saga. I don't think, other than Lord of the Rings, which is not, it's more of a fantasy fairy tale, this is more of a saving humanity epic saga, and more of in a different kind of a vein. I'm actually going to just slightly up your rating and give it a 4.25.
Okay.
Which leads us to sleep factor. Now, because of this movie's parts that drag and, the fact that I kind of did have a little bit of trouble staying connected for some of that movie, I'm going to give it a 3.75.
Okay. I don't know what it is about this director, but pretty much every movie that I've seen of his draws me in and holds me close to its bosom, and it's hard for me to pull away. It's these movies that he does there's just something about them that just captivates me and keeps me engaged. He's like a Spielberg to me. He's just very engrossing as a storyteller, visually, all the way around. There's another film I'm thinking of that I would rate a 5. There are very few films that I would put at a 5 to keep my attention all the way through. But this is one of those. This is a 5 for me.
Really?
This is a 5. This is my wrist was buzzing for like notifications and stuff, and we only paused the film 3 times for like food, bathroom breaks, that kind of thing.
Right.
But like once we started playing again, like I
were back in.
I couldn't look away. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, the numbers are in, and here is what Interstellar is looking like. Acting is at a 3.88, script of 4.13, presentation 4.25, music and sound 4.75, though it should be a 5. Uniqueness 4.13, sleep factor 4.38, for a grand total of 4.25, which puts it at...
Is that second place?
Third place.
Third place.
Yep. So Princess Bride's number 1, Lion King in second with 4.33, and then Interstellar at 4.25. So I think that's a pretty good.
That's respectable.
That's respectable.
Yeah, I like that.
We're leaving crappy movies down by the bottom. Persona, that where it belongs. But speaking of crappy movies, I want to put out something to you guys.
Oh yeah.
If you guys know of any bad movies that you would want us to review, tell us about it. Shoot us an email, casualmovieclub@hotmail.com. You can call us and leave us a voicemail at whatever that number is. I can never remember it. You can also tweet us or Instagram us at Casual Movie Club on either platform. You can even go to our website, and we have a contact page, casualmovieclub.com. You can go to the contact page, send us an email from there. Tell us your favorite bad movie that you'd like to hear us talk about. We will be more than happy to consider that for a future episode.
If you do want to call us, leave us a voicemail, send us a text message. You can reach us at 402-882-2742.
Beautiful. And also, speaking of our website, you can find at the very bottom of our website, there's links to the not 1, not 2, not 3, but 7 different platforms that you can find us on.
Oh, geez.
iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio.
Wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Indeed. And also, feel free to share our podcast with any of your friends if you really enjoy what we have to say. Let them know, hey, you got to join the Casual Movie Club. It is an awesome podcast found wherever podcasts can be found.
Like, share, subscribe.
That's right. So that's going to wrap this one up. And,
let's pick, let's get our number generator going, and let's pick the movie for next time.
Right, because it's going to be a couple weeks before our next episode.
Yeah, I am going on my honeymoon.
Yeah, so all the best to you. Have a wonderful time. Be safe.
Thank you very much, and all the best to you as well.
Thank you.
Let's pick the movie for next time so we have something to look forward to.
All right, cool. Let's see what we got.
We're going to do, barring any poor movie suggestions, trash movie suggestions,
right?
Anything you guys recommend to us, if it's trashy enough, it will take precedent. But what we're going to do is do a random number generator between 1 and 250, and we're going to pick a movie from the IMDb top 250 list. Rolling the die.
Now, for some weird reason, Google is not generating the number. It's giving me a numbergenerator.org link, which is random. But whatever. It's a random number. And we've got 22.
22. Oh, we're high up there.
So this has got to be a good movie.
We're high up there. John, that comes out to be Star Wars Episode 4.
Yes!
A New Hope.
Yes! Oh, that's awesome. What a great way to come back after a little hiatus.
Ooh, yeah, I can't wait for that one.
Oh, that movie, that's kind of a longer movie too, isn't it?
It's about 2 hours.
Okay.
No, it is 2 hours.
Okay, that's fine, but I really enjoy that movie.
Yeah, Interstellar was about 3 hours, about 2 hours, 50 minutes.
Yeah, so I know we kind of talk about this on all the episodes, but, if you're a casual watcher, would you recommend Interstellar?
I would absolutely recommend Interstellar. Again, going back to the Princess Bride comparison, this is a movie that I would recommend that you sit down and devote some attention to.
Right.
Whether you make it through it or not, that's one thing.
Right.
But it's worth sitting down and giving it your full attention. This is not like a fold the laundry while this is on in the background kind of movie. Unless
you're really into the movie and you've seen it 60 times. Then you can leave it on in the background. But if you're like me and you have trouble sitting through long movies, watch it in a few spurts. Because there's a couple of times where it actually fades to black and then it kind of starts a new act or starts a new sequence. So those might be good times to stop the movie and then continue it on later.
Yeah, there was one point where the pizza came and it just faded to black right as your doorbell rang.
Right.
It's like, oh shit. All right, pause.
Oh yeah, that worked out nicely. But definitely, I recommend it as well. Interstellar is a terrific movie. Watch it when you're not tired as well. After a long day or something. But watch it when you've got some energy and you can sit through it. So
you won't be disappointed.
You will not be disappointed. That's right. So that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks again for tuning in. We appreciate it. And as always, we will see you next time on the Casual Movie Club.
All right. See you guys later.
Peace.
Thanks.